So the 2024 real estate market's definitely one of a kind, and if you're not in the industry, it's likely made you scratch your head a bit. So here's the Cliff Notes version of why the market's doing what it's doing, and it really boils down to two things: affordability and inventory. So affordability is basically how easily the average person can afford the average priced home, and the three factors that impact home affordability are home prices, wages, and mortgage rates. So how did we get to where we are in mid-2024? So when the Federal Reserve, aka the Fed, slashed the federal funds rate in response to the pandemic shutdown, mortgage rates hit an all-time low. All-time low mortgage rates spiked demand, and home prices rose because the lower mortgage rates made it easier for more people to afford higher priced homes. In other words, affordability increased, at least until home prices shot up to a level that brought affordability back down. So remember, home affordability is made up of mortgage rates, home prices, and wages. So while all of this was going on with mortgage rates and home prices, wages didn't really swing big one way or the other, so their impact on home affordability was and has been minimal. So when inflation got out of hand, the Fed's response was to increase the federal funds rate in an effort to curb inflation. When the Feds pulled the trigger on the Fed rate increase, mortgage rates also rose. So I personally believe that the Fed thought the increased mortgage rates would drive home prices down, and it likely would have if the super low interest rates created by the pandemic didn't create what's called the lock-in effect. So the lock-in effect refers to sellers who are locked into a historically low mortgage rate, and they aren't selling because it's too expensive to trade up to the current mortgage rate. The higher mortgage rates have driven buyers out of the market because of low buyer affordability. However, the lock-in effect has driven out even more sellers. So supplies remain lower than demand, which has kept home prices up, and they're continuing to rise. So what I've described is a nationwide trend, and we're starting to see some regional market shifts, like in Texas and Florida, but not so much in Metro Atlanta. So this has taken us to 2024, where affordability is low, demand still outweighs supply, and home values are still rising. So it's unlikely that wages will spike enough to help normalize the real estate market. So everyone's really looking at three places to help get things back to the way we know. So number one, the Fed dropping the Fed rate. Number two, builders cranking out new construction inventory. And number three, foreclosures hitting the market. So my crystal ball's been a bit foggy lately, so we'll have to wait and see what the second half of 2024 brings our way.